Welcome to DayZ Standalone. About a year ago, I made a video on the very first alpha build of DayZ Standalone, and it did really well. Everybody enjoyed going back in time and revisiting the early builds of that game because it's so different from what DayZ is nowadays, and a lot of people hold nostalgia for that build. And I figured, what's a better way to celebrate the 1 year release of that video than going back and playing another one of my favorite versions of this game. 0.62. Which for a lot of DayZ veterans is actually considered their favorite version of the standalone alpha. And there's many reasons for that I'll get into while we're playing this. But really it just kind of felt like everything over those last few years came together for this build. It had all the guns, it had all the mechanics that we wanted, a lot of the bugs had been fixed. It was still clunky, but the combat felt really good. This was probably my favorite era of the DayZ combat. It was challenging, it was hard to get used to, but once you mastered it, it felt so good. And there's just a lot about this version of the game that people miss and they wish were still in. This was the heyday of the DayZ alpha. For many people, this was the build that they started playing DayZ in, or for many people this was the last build that they played DayZ Standalone in. And my fire went out. There's just a lot about this build that a lot of people love. This was like the PvP era for DayZ in my opinion. It was when things started booming in that sense. A lot of people really enjoyed the combat from this era. And on top of that, like I was saying before, everything just kind of felt like it came together in this build. A lot of the guns that they re-added to the game as quote-unquote new content were in this build of the game. A lot of the mechanics that they added back were in this build of the game. And a lot of the mechanics that they've added that weren't in this build were planned to be in this build. A lot of this is a precursor to what DayZ is now. I mean, even visually, right? This is starting to look like what current DayZ looks like. The vibrance, the color scheme, it just kind of... It moved away from that saturated feel that the early alpha builds had and moved into the more vibrant apocalyptic feel that DayZ is familiar with today. Even though it looks different because it's on a different engine, this was definitely where this was headed. Yeah, we're in Berezino right now. I'm just kind of looting around. I have a plan. I want to go see the Northeast Airfield since we didn't see that in our last video. And then from there, we'll kind of see where the game takes us. This is something that I miss, to be honest, is these indicators right here that tell you. They're not intuitive in any way or better than the current symbols that are in the game to tell you what your character's feeling. But I just like the way they look, and there's a lot of nostalgia to them for me. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking that, but maybe one of you guys can back me up in the comments. Also, this UI is a precursor to what DayZ looks like now with its inventory. It's different, but you could tell that it was heading in that direction. This was when the stick of death, as I like to call it, was in this game. Hey, back off, Dean. Yeah. Oh no, I don't have any bandages. We'll have to fix that. But the stick of death is what I liked to call this, because if you could land one good headshot on a player back then, you would kill him. It was the ultimate weapon. And they still had the indicators in the bottom left where your character talked to you, saying, I'm no longer bleeding, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, which, again, was probably annoying for a lot of people, but back in the day, I actually thought it was really cool. This is also when a lot of the current Chernarus started to unfold. The map design is not quite the same as it is in modern DayZ, but they were starting to head that way. Alright, we're gonna head to the well, fill up, and then I think we're gonna try and start heading towards the airfield. We don't want to alert any zombies. Because even though this was a better alpha build than all the other alpha builds, the zombies were always bad. It's one thing DayZ can always be sure of. Look at him standing there, menacingly. This is when the click menu was still in the game. I believe this was the last build to have the click menu where you have to click on items to interact with them. Once 0.63 came out and the engine swap happened, everything was all animation based. So this is the last build where it's similar to Arma, where you have to click on things and a second menu pops up and you have to do them like that, which personally I really like. Your character was also a bottomless pit in this build. I just ate 2 cans of beans and I'm barely in the dark green hungry. I'm gonna be starving again here soon, so we're gonna have to figure that out. But we'll keep on our path. We'll keep going. Alright, we're leaving Berezino. We're gonna start heading up to the northeast airfield area and see what we can do. Alright, we're at the Northeast Airfield, and I gotta tell you, this place back in the day was the go-to if you were on this side of the map. These days, the Northeast Airfield, you never even really go see it unless you're already in this area, and even then, it's kind of unnecessary, because nothing spawns there outside of some medical supplies. But back in the day, this was PvP. You got a lot of action up here at the airfield. My guy's still hungry. I've been eating like crazy. This era of DayZ, I like to call the game's black and white era, personally. Because for some reason, during this time, they ramped up the survival mechanics. Your character was always hungry. No matter how much you fed him, it was super easy to starve, which meant your screen would get saturated super easily. They made cooking very necessary, as you've seen me already do a few times in this video. You had to cook food all the time to keep up with it, because the meat was really the only thing that kept you from starving. They also started to change the environmental sounds in this build. They're not the same as they are in current DayZ, even though there are some sounds from this build that are there, but not all of them. But they're not the same as previous alpha builds. There's different bird sounds, there's more wind sounds, there's no more random fence noise, which is still okay to me. It's not bad. Like, if you sit here and you listen, like, it's not bad. It's not bad. I still have nostalgia for it, but it doesn't hit quite the same as the old alpha build ambient noises hit for me, personally. But that's just me. I have a lot of nostalgia for the old ambient noises. You still couldn't move while eating in this build. It's pretty cool. Now, I don't remember, like I was saying, the Northeast Airfield used to be a pretty good place to come, but I don't remember if it was ever that good in 0.62. If you guys could maybe let me know in the comments how it was during this build. I know in previous alpha builds before this, you could find really good gear here, like I was saying, and get into some pretty decent fights, but I don't know how it was in 0.62 off the top of my head. It's been a long time. One thing they did do with the ambient noise in this build, though, that I absolutely love is they made it feel alive. I may not have as much nostalgia for the bird sounds in this build, but there's definitely enough of them that makes you feel like you're actually in the game. Like, if we just sit here and listen to these birds for a second. Something about it, man. Something about it. There's just something that hits different about this legacy build that just resonates with a lot of people, I think, and it's why it's so loved, is because it's the last build that everybody got to play before the engine swap. And when the game swapped engines, it was a completely different feel. The game didn't feel the same. A lot of the content was taken out of the game because it had to be built from the ground up. And it was surprisingly buggier than it was on this engine during this build when they released the new engine in 0.63. I know a lot of content creators who left the game and stopped playing it after this version because it never felt the same. And current DayZ kind of feels like a COD simulator, you know? And it gets compared to games like that in a lot of aspects these days, because what it was like back in these days is hard to explain to somebody who'd never played it. You had to experience it, because it was unlike anything else, and it was challenging, it was clunky, but it had, when you won a gunfight in these days, there was a sense of satisfaction, a sense of pride, because you had to work for it. This is something I'll always love, man, is the sound of the bullets splitting in the alpha builds. I love it. There's so much nostalgia in that simple little sound. It's icing on the cake. Now, we haven't shot our pistol yet, so I'm gonna do that. Got him. Something that I think still needs to be in DayZ is the ragdoll physics. Even if it's just on the zombies, okay? I get not putting it on the players, because sometimes they'll bug out, maybe go through the ground or into a building and you can't loot them. But on the zombies, come on. You need to bring that back. You need to. Alright, come here, boy. Oh. Got him. I hear more coming. Close the door. Oh, they are here. Oh, hey, Dean. Dean Rocket Ho. Gonna put him down like a dog. Oh, hey, guys. Hey. See, I brought in the cavalry. Is there more? I hear him. I don't see him. Ah, it's another Dean. Where's he going? He's going over here. We got the... Alright, we gotta open it up for Dean. I'm sorry. The ragdoll physics are so good. Why aren't they in the game anymore? Found us some hunting pants. Let's go. Pop those out. Now we starting to look spiffy. I also found me a sporter. So, not doing too shabby. We're gonna start heading towards Severograd. Oh man, the old gun rattle sounds. Love them. I'm the only one online. Speaking of that, this is a public server. If you want to know how to play it, I'll put a link in the description to join the Discord where you can learn how to join these servers. There's 3 of them. There's 3 of them for 3 different builds of DayZ. If that's something you're interested in playing, you can go and do it. It's all legit, all safe. It's a Discord community. You can even ask some people some questions if you have concerns. And I highly recommend it if these older builds are something that you really enjoy playing. The server owner is really cool. He made these servers for people. He put in the hard work for them. And he's done tutorials on how to do all this. So I highly recommend it if it's something you're interested in. Alright, we're going to head to Severograd. And I will see you guys soon. Cue the montage. Alright, we are now in Severograd. And from here, we're just going to slowly make our way towards Northwest or Tizzy. Probably Tizzy. It's just a different vibe. Man, it's so strange how it can be the same game, but feel so different. This game has changed so much over the years, and it's just crazy to think how much the community has grown, as well as just the game itself has changed so much. DayZ has evolved in a lot of ways, and some for good, some for bad. Yeah, we can agree on that, but it is just pretty crazy. This has been my favorite game and my most played game for the last, it's been probably around 11, 12 years now. I've been playing since the mod, so we're all old. If you're watching this, that means you're old. You know, I do wish they would re-add the trumpet to the game. This sporter is cool and all, but that trumpet, man, that trumpet was something else. Hey, yo, it's a functioning car with no wheels on this side. It has 3 wheels, it has a spark plug and a battery. Okay, let's get in and find out. Hold on, we gotta eat real quick. This might kill me. This might kill me. If it kills me, GG, I suppose. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. I switched passenger seats to engine on. Oh. Oh. Oh my god, it's so loud. Oh. Engine off. Thank you. Get out. That was scary. That was scary, guys. I didn't like that. Alright. We're putting the tires back on just to see what it does. That was also very loud. Alright, front or back? Probably front, right? Attached tire. Okay, put the hood down. I don't know how much gas it has. I didn't look. Alright. Engine on. Oh. Oh my god, we can drive it. Close the door. It's not perfect, but it might get us to where we're going. Away we go. Hopefully we do not die, because this is gonna bug the fuck out. I can feel it now. But it functions. See what I'm saying? It functions. Even with 3 wheels, this functions better than the cars in DayZ do today. And that is crazy to me. Alright, well, we're on our way. We got places to be, sights to see. Wow, imagine this. DayZ vehicles functioning off-road. Who would have thought? This works surprisingly well compared to the cars now in DayZ. Alright, so we're heading up to Tizzy right now, and we're gonna check that out. I don't remember how different it is in this build compared to the current Tizzy, so that's kind of why I want to go check it out. I do remember when it was added, though. And I remember it being extremely hard for me to find when I was younger. Because I wasn't sure, I hadn't looked up how to find it or where it was, and me and my buddies took a whole day to like kind of guess where it was. We knew where it was on the northern side of the map, but we didn't know its exact location, so that was an interesting time for us. That's something I'll always remember about Tizzy. Alright, we're here at Tizzy. So far it doesn't look all that different, to be honest. I never really came up here much, like I was saying. I only came up here a handful of times back in the day. I was mostly a Northwest Airfield player, but I wanted to come check it out just to see if there was any significant difference, and to just kind of reminisce, you know? Dang, that didn't take him out? That's crazy. There we go. Alright, well, we're about to have one hell of a time. So I'm gonna run to the barracks. Ooh, the gas mask. You know we gotta wear that. You already know. DayZ classic right there, baby. Alright, boys. Who wants it? Yeah, it doesn't seem like too much has changed at Tizzy, to be honest. It's pretty much the exact same. Just kind of interesting. I would expect them to change it at least a little bit, but no, it's pretty much the same. Alright, well, we've checked out Tizzy. I'm not going to worry about going to the tents. Not too concerned about that right now. I'm going to head to Northwest Airfield. That'll be the last place we check out, just because I want to see the old airfield layout again, because I love it so much. And then we'll probably call it after that. But this has been really fun. I've really enjoyed this. Alright, back into the Deathmobile we go. Please don't kill me. I have to say that every time, just in case. So far, it's worked out. Alright, off we go. Alright, well, we've made it to the Northwest Airfield. And, I just want to point out how lucky I was to find this car. I can't believe it. Hey, there's a heli crash over there. But I can't believe how lucky I was to find this car. If it wasn't for this car, this video would have taken so long to record. So I'm so glad that I had the luck to find this. It's my three-wheeled chariot. So, leave some love for this thing in the comments. Man, every time I see it, the nostalgia hits me like a brick wall. This Northwest Airfield layout is so iconic, and it's so ingrained in my memory for this game. The nostalgia for it is just unlike anything else. So many good PvP fights here, man. The layout was just so... it was meant for PvP. You came here, guaranteed you were fighting somebody. No matter what. Like I said in the previous video, so many memories. And I do agree that current DayZ, this airfield just wouldn't work. Like, at all. It would be way too hectic, it's way too small. But for the time, it worked great. It was perfect for the way this game played out. I think where the Northwest Airfield sits these days after they reworked it recently is in a pretty good spot. I like the current Northwest Airfield after the changes they made. The previous one to that, where it was like that massive airfield, that was terrible. That did not feel good. You ran past people without even knowing it. You hardly ever saw anybody there because it was just too big for its own good. The current build that they just released recently, I really like. I think that's a really good. It pays homage to this version, but it's not the exact same. And it has just enough to not feel too small. I think in this build you could go into these barracks. In the early alpha builds, these barracks were sealed. You couldn't go into them. But yeah. Later on in further updates, they opened them up, which is good.
A magazine for the M4. It's all coming together.
Yes. We're ascending. I'm pretty curious about that. I don't remember what these look like. Unpin. Ugh. That's not bad. You can see the edges of the picture, but that's not bad. My frame rate is insane looking at it. But I look that way and it drops. I look towards the smoke, it goes up. Like that makes sense. I don't know. So many memories of these hangars. Getting into fights down the airstrip like this. So many. Where you'd like sit in this corner and you'd see people running up and you'd just pop, 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 pop. Or right in between them all the time. All the time. So many good memories. I miss the old running animations too, how your character would run with the guns in their hands. I think they were clean. Super clean. Oh, they look so good. Look at that. Yeah. The leaning. Ooh, an AK with a mag in it. Why don't we just do something real quick, you know what I mean? Load it. Epic. And I think we'll end this video exactly where we ended the last one, on top of ATC at the old Northwest Airfield. Like I said in the last video, I know this isn't really my typical content where I just kind of talk while I play the games and ramble on and on about nostalgic things that some people may find nostalgic and some people don't. But I love this game so much. I love every version this game has ever went through. They all have good memories for me. They're all a part of this game's history and a part of my history as a gamer. And I know a lot of people feel the same. So I just kind of wanted to revisit another one of my favorite alpha builds of this game, which is .62. And I hope you guys enjoyed this trip down nostalgia lane. If you guys haven't checked out the other video, I highly recommend checking it out. Like I said, check the link in the description to join the Discord to try and play on some of these servers for yourself. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again.